Hey everyone, it's Mr. G. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about a topic that I've been thinking a lot about since I finished the 60-hour live stream coding challenge that I did last month. And that is my problem with coding tutorial videos, or coding tutorials in general. I kind of have a unique perspective on this because I create coding tutorial videos as well as use a lot of them. So there are a lot of different tutorials and websites that I use to learn coding myself. And I kind of want to talk about my problem with the way things are done right now and maybe offer some solutions to anyone that's trying to learn how to code. Because I know it's not easy and I know it's very difficult to know where to go and look for things so that you can learn yourself. But my issue with coding tutorial videos or any coding tutorial is that a lot of them, they teach one specific thing with one specific language, and sometimes they might not be the right thing that you need to learn. So for example, let's say you wanted to learn how to paint. You might go to a tutorial or start a tutorial that teaches you everything about watercolors and brushes and how to dry the paper and do stuff like that. But in reality, what you really wanted to learn was how to use, acrylic paint or pastels or using crayons maybe along with paint in some way. I don't really know much about painting and art, but I'm just trying to give an analogy here that, you might start a tutorial video that is focused on one specific domain that you're not really interested in. So what you should do is drop it and leave it as quickly as possible. You could start a lot of different tutorials and jump around until you find one that kind of works for you. The next thing I would recommend is to kind of work backwards. So think about what you might want to create and then try to ask people on Reddit or on Twitter and try to find out what languages or what things you could learn that will help you create that. So for example, if you wanted to create an iOS app, a game for example, you can Google and learn exactly what you need to learn and what you could study from or what tutorials are out there that can help you along that path. It wouldn't do you any good to start learning JavaScript and web development if you want to learn how to create iOS games, for example. A lot of tutorials, let me just show you a few, some of my issues might come up here. A lot of tutorials or websites that are for learning how to code, they just show one specific aspect of the specific language that they're teaching. So for example, here in Free Code Camp, I love Free Code Camp, don't get me wrong. But the way that they teach JavaScript, it's just one thing at a time, how to create a variable, how to multiply numbers together, how to return a value, how to divide. There's all these different things about JavaScript that you can learn, but none of this is really going to help you create something at the end of it. In fact, I think that most people that would go through all of these different tutorials, yes, they might learn something, or they might end up really overwhelmed and not have any clue how they can start, let's say, coding a website, or how they can make a backend to a website, or, anything like that. This is almost like if you're trying to learn a language. So let's say I wanted to learn German, and I just took the German dictionary and started learning every single word. So every day I learned 10 words, let's say, and after 100 days, I know a whole bunch of words. I know 1,000 words. But the problem is I don't know how to put those words together to form a sentence. So I have all these different words that I've learned. Some of them I remember, some of them I don't, but I don't really know the context in which to use those words to be able to talk to someone in German or to be able to listen in German. So that's my issue with some of these things where, you're learning a whole bunch of different concepts and you're passing these challenges, but at the end of it, you don't really know how to put it all together. You don't really know the context in which to use all of these things. But this could help you. It could be good for the foundations, but I wouldn't dwell or spend too much time on those things. Another one is Khan Academy. They have a whole computer science or computer programming section. And it's the same kind of problem here. You can learn about loops or arrays or objects or variables all by themselves, isolated. But unless you know how to put them together in a project, once the training wheels are off, once you don't have the tutorial videos to follow, you're going to be stuck and you're not going to know exactly how to continue to build what you want to build. So this is again why I go back to saying that you should try to figure out what you want to create and then work backwards to learn the things that'll help you create that. So just knowing that you need to know JavaScript to create a website isn't enough, or HTML and CSS. That might not be enough. You might need to think about what kind of website you want to make. Is it just a single page? Is it multiple pages? And you want to be able to go from one place to another? Does your website need to download stuff from the internet from elsewhere? Or is it just a static page with like your own pictures and images and colors and stuff like that? So figuring out what you want to build first is going to be much more helpful than just starting a tutorial and hoping that by the end of it you know what to do, because oftentimes you won't. So here's another one, Codecademy. Some of them are getting a little bit smarter, and these tutorials are getting a little bit better, these courses, where they have like paths that you can follow. So for example, if you want to create a video game, they show you this library, Phaser.js, and you can learn how to do that. Or you can create a backend app with JavaScript, and maybe it'll teach you the technologies that you would need to know, as well as the foundation of the language that you need to know that you may not know. So creating a front-end app with React, that's great. So if you know what you need to build, this might be the right course for you. This is another one. So a lot of them on EDX or Coursera, they offer these certificates, but then it's like, hundreds of dollars to do this course. And by the end of this, like everything here, this is not worth $900. So I think this is to me, this is a scam. I mean, I don't care if the certificate they send you is made of gold. Like, this is not, these concepts, HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, introduction, this is not worth $900 when everything's out there for free on the internet. So some people are going to get scammed by paying so much money for something that, by the end of this, you're not really going to know exactly what to do. You're not going to, the best you'll be able to do is maybe create a simple website, like an About Me website. But in reality, you wanted to build a website that shows a table of the market prices or something, and you'll have no idea how to do that after doing a course like this. So definitely be wary and be careful out there with paying money for anything that might not be worth it. Some other good ones, I mean, they might be good but very difficult, but at least they're free, are the MIT OpenCourseware or maybe Harvard. They have a lot of courses that students at their schools can take, and this is going to be a lot more difficult. But the challenges will be good for developing as a computer scientist, as a thinker of like problem solving. But at the end of this, you might do this entire course, but it just focuses on Python, and you might actually want to create an app in Swift, and this will not help you reach that goal. It's not going to be bad for you, but it's going to be almost like a waste of time. Let's see what else I pulled. So this is one from Udemy where, again, it's overpriced. It's $110, although the Udemy always has different deals. And there are some really amazing courses on Udemy for like $10 to $15. I'm not saying this is bad, but once again, if you start with this, when you're really trying to become a data scientist, this might not be the course for you. This might not be the language for you. If you're learning JavaScript without knowing exactly what you want to build, once you're done with the course, that's not a good idea. You should really start with the end in mind. And the last thing I want to pull up, this is a site that I used. This guy used to make videos, but it's the same kind of issue. And I think I'm guilty of this too on my own personal website, my own YouTube channel, where I show a lot of I show short little videos on how to do a specific thing. And you might learn it, you might use it, but you might not understand the context in which to use it. So that's something that I am going to keep in mind as I go forward and make more videos. Maybe I'll mention where you could use these different ideas that you're learning or that I'm teaching in these videos to help you out. Because if you just learn an isolated concept, you might not know where to use it in the future. You definitely won't know where to use it in the future. But it's the same idea here. So you could go through all of these videos, and they are really good. I used to watch The New Boston back in the day. You might learn a lot about classes, but if you have no idea in what situation to create a class or to use a class, it's not going to be that helpful. Or using let or arrow functions. Some of these things might not be exactly what you want because you need to first figure out what you want to build. So my suggestion is start with what you want to build, figure out what you're trying to build, and then work backwards to try to find resources that will help you build that will help you reach that goal. There is no one-size-fits-all tutorial. You're going to have to jump around and learn different pieces from different tutorials, but as long as you don't give up, you will get there eventually. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about my own coding journey and the books and the resources that probably helped me the most. And I just want to share that with people in case they're interested, because I did talk about it on the stream. Someone asked how did you learn how to code, or what courses did you take? And I think it'd be good for a video to talk about those things and share what I've used. So I will put that in my next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more like this, or if you have your own opinions about what you can do to learn how to code or to learn a specific language. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. So be sure to post that in the comments below, and I will see you next time.